Good morning, everyone. This is Ben Dunn, founder of Antarctic Press, creator of such comics as Warrior Nun, Ninja High School, Mighty Tiny, Marvel Mangaverse, among a host of other comics like Tomorrow Girl. And which reminds me, I do have two campaigns going. One on Indiegogo, Tomorrow Girl Volume 3, a throwback to the Silver Age of superheroes. And on exclusively on Kickstarter is Mighty Tiny, a anthropomorphic steampunk adventure for all ages. So, one of the things I've always wondered about is whether people are either tortoises or hares. What do I mean by that? Well, let me tell you. Let me explain. Let me enlighten you, so to speak. Those of you who are not familiar, but there's a fable by Aesop, a Greek storyteller, and he did what are called fables. Now, fables are stories with a moral lesson attached to them. And one of his most famous ones is the story of the tortoise and the hare. Now, I'm sure you've heard about the story where there's a race and the turtle and a rabbit decide to race against each other. And the rabbit, being arrogant, overconfident, feel like he doesn't need to try very hard to beat, someone like a turtle. And so they race. He's so far ahead that he decides to take a break, confident that he will win and feeling that the turtle will never catch up. So what happens? He falls asleep. And then, the turtle bypasses him and keeps going until eventually he's nearing the finish line. By this time, the rabbit has woken up, sees the turtle near the finish line, rushes to try to beat him, but alas, it is too late. The turtle has crossed the finish line, thus defeating the hare in the race. So what does this lesson teach us? Well, I will tell you. Over the last 40 years, Antarctic Press has taken a very turtle-like approach to the way we do things. Look, I am not against, early success. I mean, everyone loves that, but it's not always possible. So what is your strategy going to be? Is your idea is to try to find early success as quickly as possible, or to be in for the long haul? And that's something you may want to ask yourself when you're wanting to create something, especially something in the arts, such as comics or movies or anything else or what have you, whatever you do, actually, whatever business you decide to go into. What is your long-term strategy? What is going to be, how do you envision yourself 5 years down the road, 5 years, 10 years down the road? What do you think you'll have accomplished? What goals have you set for yourself? Sometimes it's much harder than you may think. I always liken Antarctic Press as sort of like the small little mammal, skirting around the legs of huge dinosaurs. And we all know what happened to the dinosaurs, right? So what I'm saying is that do not be quick to want to get success early. Sometimes it can be a detriment. It can lead to hubris and arrogance, feeling that success cannot stop. Well, it can. The very fact of the matter is most, if not all, comic book publishers from the last 40 years have gone out of business. I would say about, I'm guessing off the top of my head, I could be inaccurate. I would say about 98% of comic publishers who started in the last 40 years are no longer in business. I can go through a whole list of companies that started off quite successfully, mind you. Huge amounts of money. Techno Comics. Now Malibu went out of business, but it was because it was bought by Marvel. Comico, Eclipse, There's a host of others. It's a shame, really, because one of the things I noticed during the last 40 years we've been in business is that when companies have, or creators even, have a slight taste of success, they feel like they have to portray that success, by spending money on the trappings of success and not reinvest it back into the company. Reinvest it back into yourself. That is something I think is the downfall of many, many endeavors. One of the things that always strikes me as interesting is that when creators, especially new ones, come up to me and feel somehow that they're owed instant success. I will say there's very few exceptions of that. I'm not going to say that some creators can't find instant success, but for the most part, if you're just starting out, you're not going to find it immediately. It takes a lot of talent, hard work, and persistence to get that success. If you give up because of one failure, then you may be just short of hitting the jackpot because, you've given up. And that's not a formula for success. Now, I will grant you that I, personally, am not a wealthy man. I'm not. I'm going to admit it. I'm not doing $3 million campaigns or $100,000 campaigns or even $50,000 campaigns. If I was making that kind of money, I would definitely be on a whole new level. Because you know what? I would take that money and reinvest it in creative endeavors that will hopefully be more successful. But so far, I haven't reached that goal. Now, I'm not going to stop, until my goal is to create something that will achieve that. Because, I feel like, the idea of monetary success is something that, of course, we all want to achieve. We want to achieve financial independence. We want to achieve monetary success. I'm not going to give you a panacea where you think, oh yes, comics. Hey kids, comics. You'll make money, lots of money. No, the market isn't large enough yet to do that. I mean, what do I mean by that? Well, I guess what I'm saying is the American comic market is not big enough yet to sustain that. Now, manga is making headway, but even then, how long do you think manga is going to last? Some people say, oh, manga is a big hit, so it'll be around forever. No. Sooner or later, people are going to realize that, what? All this manga is the same. I don't really care for it anymore. It's not giving me anything that's satisfying to me. I think there's going to be a shift back to American comics. I really think so. It might take a while, but I think if we provide, because we are Americans, we know what Americans like. We know what Americans will want to read. And I think that as creators, we need to start making things that people want to read. We got to give them a reason to buy our books. We got to give them a reason to go to a comic book store on a weekly basis. Maybe that model is extinct. I don't know. But I think people still want to go out and buy stuff. They don't want to be holed up in their house doing nothing. I mean, you stare at your screen, you read a comic, and then you're done. And how satisfying is that? To me, it's not very satisfying. I've read comics online. It's not the same, I like to read a comic, hold it in my hand, smell it, look at it, page by page, panel by panel, word by word. Look at every single nuance, in that comic. Hold it in my hands. Tuck it away. Maybe someday down the future, I'll read it again. I can pass it. One of the things about comics is that you can pass it on, to somebody else. You can give it to a friend. When you pass away, maybe a relative will find it and say, oh my God, he bought this comic. Oh, it's worth a fortune. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Now, interestingly enough, I always tell we've gotten to the point where, we have creators who always expect success first thing out of the gate, and that doesn't happen. It very rarely happens. Maybe in a few instances it may happen. Let me tell you a little story about a creator, the creator Terry Moore. Now, Terry Moore, when he came to us, Herb Millett was the editor at the time. And quite frankly, when he came with us with his comic, I was not enamored with it. I thought it was, but then that wasn't the audience it was aimed at, But Herb very, very astutely guessed that people would like this. He decided to give it a chance. Now, Terry was very ambitious. He was a up-and-coming creator. We thought he had great talent. He volunteered to do just about anything for us. He did covers for us. He did, art, interior art. He did just awesome. I could have got him to draw Ninja High School if I really wanted him to, But he was determined to do Strangers in Paradise. And we printed it. Turned out it was the worst selling comic at that time for Enterprise ever. When we got our orders in from Diamond, it was like 300 copies. It was pathetic, and because nobody was willing to give a chance on this comic, slice of life comic called Strangers in Paradise. It wasn't until word got around and we begged Diamond to up their orders. Just enough so we could get it print, and they did. Diamond, for the most part, was very magnanimous and helped us out in getting Strangers in Paradise out. And we greatly appreciate that. We managed to get the book out, and you know what? It was a hit. People loved it. People who bought it, we sold out. We sold out every single copy of our 1,200 copy print run. And then we did a second printing, and we did a third printing, and each one bigger and bigger. And then we did a second issue, which the sales were tremendous, and the third issue was even better. People really liked it. But had we not taken a chance on it, no one would ever have discovered it. Or if Terry was discouraged by the numbers that we initially got, and he gave up. He said, maybe this isn't for me. But he didn't. He persisted. He was the turtle. He kept at it. He didn't stop. He didn't let things get in his way. And it's just an example of a creator who just wants to, has ambition, has wanting to do something, and doesn't let things get in his way. We highly encourage that kind of behavior, because I think in the end, if you really believe in the projects that you're doing, you will eventually succeed. It's rather the rapidity of the success, and when you do find that success, how are you going to hold on to it? How are you going to stretch it? Because eventually all things fade away, and I, for now, manga's doing great, but I will tell you, there are going to be dark days ahead for manga. Sooner or later, people are going to just get sick of it. They're going to get tired of it. Just because it's the same thing over and over again. It's becoming sort of there's no uniqueness really to manga overall. It's not in color, which is the one thing American comics do have an advantage of. And I think that we as creators have to realize that we need to cater to our audience. We need to know what it is that they want. And we can do that. We as a community, as comic book creators, can create things that people will buy. People will support. And that's one of those things I really, really think that eventually will happen. I'm not saying manga is going to go away. No. It'll still be here. It may, whenever you have rapid expansion and success, everyone thinks that that can be sustained forever, and it can't be. Nothing, goes on that fast for very long. Eventually, it's going to slow down. It's going to get into a routine, and it's going to get into an area where they feel like they're consistent, and that's what AP has always been. We want it to be consistent. We've never been a company that just chases after, You know, I mean, not that we wouldn't want a huge hit on our hands. Don't get me wrong, but everything, almost 100% of what Antarctic Press makes goes right back into the company, into our creations, into running the company and doing all sorts of things. We don't buy fancy cars, or do all sorts of outlandish stunts and things like that because to us, the business of doing comics is the most important business that we have. And we try to focus on that. Run your business any way you want. Okay, I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm just telling you how we do it. And if you feel like that's a good model to emulate, then fantastic. I wish you much success. But if you feel I'm just full of garbage and, just spewing off, then that's fine. I accept that. I'm not going to hold it against you. And then all I want is to wish everyone success. I would love more than anything in the world that every creator ever in the history of mankind found financial and personal success in any endeavor that they aspire to do. Now, but I know I'm foolish and naive to think that. That's not going to happen because people are different. People treat things differently. They approach things differently. Some people just give up right away at the first sign of failure. And then there are some who never give up and continue on no matter what obstacles are placed in their way. So which one are you? Ask yourself that. So anyway, hopefully you'll line my pockets a little bit more so that I can continue to do things by liking and subscribing and supporting my campaigns. Personally, I'm not much of a salesperson. I don't really like to shill as a quote unquote shill, type thing. I'm hoping my work speaks for itself, but I know in this day and age, we have to sort of learn to be promoters. And I'm trying my best to try to get you to take a chance on my, my projects. So anyway, that's all I have to say for now. Until next time, this has been Dunn signing off.
She's got long hair and a hero cape on. She's the kind of girl who fights till dawn. She's a superhero, she'll save the day. One can mess with her, no one can sway. In the city of Quagmire, she's the talk of the town. Whenever there's trouble, she's always around. With her super strength and lightning speed, she fights for justice, fulfilling the need.